The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, continuing our talk about the challenge before Challenge Season 35, Total Madness. If you want to play in the Total Madness fantasy game, hit the description of this podcast or video. You can go play it for free. All the rules are up there. We've already done a cast preview show and fantasy preview that is also in the description of the video and podcast if you want to go back and check that out. Got some money to give away for you as well. Smash the like button to this video and leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section and create a category. We're going to be talking top threes today in terms of some of the all-time best moments of the challenge, whether it be top rookie, whether it be the most intimidating, your favorite daily mission of all time. Let's do that one. What is your favorite daily mission of all time across all seasons? And boom, you're in a draw for 20 DraftKings dollars. If you want to get into a draw for 100 DraftKings dollars, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast, leave a 5-star review, DraftKings handle, and something you enjoy about the Pat Mayo Experience, and boom, you'll be in that draw for 100 DraftKings dollars. Winners announced every Monday on the Pat Mayo Experience. Joining me to talk about his top threes of all time, host of the Challenge Chronicles podcast. Everyone go subscribe to that as well. It's Rob McIntyre. What's going on, my man?
We're doing okay. I'm not in a hazmat suit yet, so things are moving okay over here.
Well, I mean, your podcast is perfectly designed for anyone who is just staying out of the public, staying at home. You have done basically a rewatch. What season did you guys start with the challenge? Like Battle of the Sexes?
We started with Battle of the Seasons 1, and then I worked our way up from there. We figured the first 4 seasons we could kind of just leave behind.
Okay, so Battle of the Seasons, the Challenge Chronicles starts at. Now we're halfway through the duel, so you got like 7 seasons. So you can watch the seasons, then you can listen to the companion pieces of the reviews, and by the time that's over, you can go back outside.
Yeah, great time for podcasts now.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of podcasts coming up, I think. So let's jump right into this. I don't want to talk anything more about this season. We've already gone through that. Like I mentioned, if you want to join the league, it's free. Why wouldn't you do? Why wouldn't you play a fantasy game related to the challenge? Lots of fun. Let's start out with category number 1 right now. We're going to try to talk through these. So I know you have a top 3, but I want to come up with the top 3 for both of us here. Best confessional giver in the history of the challenge.
Okay.
The top 3. So who are your top 3?
So I had Paula at number 1, Evan at number 2, and Wes at number 3.
It's a tough list to argue. So I'm going to throw out some other names here and to see if they can kind of crack in. Devon has been pretty good when she's on.
She has been pretty outstanding. I went with more of a, quality is, of course, very important, but I also think quantity is also important. We're looking more at the full breadth of things. And just because she's only been on 2 seasons, I think that limits how much she can get up there.
Okay, so the other 2 I want to throw into the mix here. 1, The Miz. 2, Coral.
I'd go with Coral over The Miz. I was never as huge on his confessional delivery. He had some pretty funny ones, but I would put Coral over The Miz.
So I guess we're both kind of conceding that Paula is the undisputed champion of best confessionals.
Yeah, I would have her at number 1. A lot of people have Kenny up there. I actually never found Kenny's that funny. I mean, his obviously were fine. He'd be like in the top 10 somewhere, but I wouldn't push him towards the top 3.
No, I think that if you're going to make a distinction, like you're going to throw people into a bucket of best confessionals ever, I think that you throw Evan, Kenny, and Bananas all in the same one, and who is the best of those 3? Yeah, they're like the same person. Yeah, who is the best of those 3? Put them on the list. And I agree with you. It was Evan.
Evan just seems slightly more intelligent in his confessional delivery, and Kenny and Johnny can kind of get redundant with their confessionals. I feel like they just kind of hit the same themes over and over again. So I went with Evan over those 2.
Or is there anyone do you think that we're missing? Because a lot of the best people, even Bananas has gotten better at it over time because they force him into it. Kara is terrible at confessionals. Camila was bad at confessionals.
Terrible.
Jordan is really good at confessionals. So is Tori.
Oh, see, I don't like Jordan's confessionals. I love Tori's. I don't like Jordan's. Jordan has such a strange cadence on his confessional delivery.
Well, I think that's what I like about it. I think it makes it somewhat unique, and most of it is just talking about how great he is. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it. He just have a super distinct cadence when he's delivering confessional. It's almost like he has like a distinct, like, you know how when you read a person's article, sometimes you can just tell who it is by how they're like writing it, or a person's text message. Jordan really has that with his confessionals, and for me, I'm not as huge on it. I certainly like the uniqueness, but I don't like his overall confessional delivery. Tori is really good though.
Are we gonna give, like, if we separate CT into early stage CT and late stage CT, like he's gotten a lot, like he's now really good at confessionals, whereas before he would just talk like in monosyllabic words, like that would be it.
Either okay. I don't think he's towards this range. Georgia from these past 2 seasons is also really good.
Who's that?
Georgia from the past 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, Georgia's been all right. Georgia kind of annoys me though. Like she's just always crying. Like Bears are really good.
Bears are just really good because there's such a contrast to what he is on like TV, because he's so honest in his confessionals, and then on TV he's like just sleazy and being super duplicitous. So for him, I like his just because it gives an actual insight into what he's thinking.
All right, before we kind of hammer down on the actual top 3 here, one more name I'll throw out. Abram.
Abram's another one where his are just there's some where their confessionals are so like different from what the character's doing on screen. For me, Abram's just the opposite of that, where his confessionals are just usually super crazy, just like what he's doing on TV.
Yeah, I feel like if we lived in an era when Mark Long could have been on the newer seasons when they had more confessionals, that he would have been amazing at it.
Yeah, because the early seasons confessionals were definitely shot differently. Like prior to Fresh Meat the Duel, they weren't usually as. But Timmy is actually another one from the early seasons that is really good at confessionals. But the earlier seasons
I was gonna say the legacy of Timmy has been like swept under the rug. Like people just, what was his last season? Inferno 2?
Inferno 3 is his last season.
That's when he retired. Did he win that season? No, he didn't win that season, did he?
No, he got eliminated by Abram in that wonky mirror smashing elimination. A lot of people just kind of forget about the Inferno 3. It's kind of like the forgotten season.
Well, it's just so hard to find out of all of like the stuff. If you go to find like past challenges, like a lot of people use a VPN. I mean, I don't have to because I'm in Canada, but if you go to mtv.ca with a VPN, you can just watch, I think, like the last 13 seasons or so. They're all up there. Like Daily Motion has a bunch that you can just go watch. But for whatever reason, Inferno 3 is the one that's just incredibly difficult to track down.
It's super difficult to track down. It's also weird because it's right after the duel, which is pretty universally considered one of the best seasons. It's got truncated episodes, and because it's still the 30-minute episodes. It's also, there's a format's kind of odd where it's still an elimination every other episode, so there's not much cast filtering going on. So there's a lot of weird things about the Inferno 3, which I think attributes to its indiscrepantness.
Well, the Inferno series, maybe that's a category we can add. Best, like, series of events. Like, which one is actually the best?
Oh, we could do that.
One of the best things I liked about the Inferno is there's only 20 people on each season.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred a bigger season and just get rid of the cast quicker. Like, just make it so the eliminations are every episode instead of every other episode.
Yeah, but I like the format. I mean, it was back when it was only a half hour, but you would do your daily mission, and then you would do your life shield, then there would be an elimination. Like, you knew when stuff was coming up. So, hey, you say every other episode someone's eliminated. But if you get a good cast of 20 people, then you're with these people the entire time. It's not like, oh, I can't believe that person went home day one. At least you get, like, 2 episodes for the very first person out.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's ways you can work around that specific issue, though. I think especially if like they switch to that now, if they were going back to a team format now, I think doing that one where you have to do 2 missions for every 1 elimination, I don't think that would play that well with this audience.
Well, I would enjoy a throwback to a season like that instead of just having like a brand new set of rules every single time.
See, I think Cutthroat's the teams. There's 2 team seasons. Either Cutthroat or the Battle of the Seasons 2012 format are the 2 formats I'd like to see them go back to for team seasons.
Yeah, I think Cutthroat is the optimal format if you're going to do a team season. Make it a 3. Make there be an incentive for you not to basically just tank the entire time. And it seemed like Cutthroat
exactly
was like that.
That's the huge thing. Because the Inferno and the Gauntlet season, so many of them just boil down to the like leaders of the team just trying to throw missions constantly. And like, I mean, for an episode or 2, all right, that's fine. But you don't want to see an entire season of just teams trying to tank each other. That's not fun to watch. And Cutthroat, I think, does one of the better jobs of setting up incentives for the teams to actually perform in the missions. I think season 2012 is right up there, though, for a format I'd like to see them go back to.
Well, there's also, is season 2012 the one that San Diego won? Or is that
Yeah, that's when San Diego wins.
That's a bad season. That's a bad cast is the problem.
Yeah, the format's not the problem there. It's just a weird cast.
It's not even a weird cast. It's like a straight up bad cast.
I don't mind the cast as much as other people do. I think for the most part it's fine. Like I actually like seasons 2012. I wouldn't say it. I'd say it's like a 11th or 12th best season. I have to go back to my rankings to see where it fell. But I think it's fun. It's definitely, as format-wise, I think there's so many different ways you could play with a 4-person team format. You could do like a battle of the shows where we'll like have, okay, here's Team Real World, here's Team Road Rules, here's Team UK, here's Team Big Brother, here's Team Survivor, and have them all compete against each other. You could do it where it's kind of like a modified X's or Rivals season, where each team of 4 has, though, like one person on the team has a rivalry or is an X with 2 other people on the team, and then mix up teams that way. You could even honestly just do it like randomly, where like, you just pick out a colored pebble or something, and then you get the green pebble, you're on the green team. I think there's so many different ways to play that season. I think would be really fun.
All right, let's move on to the next category. Best rookie performance of all time. So I feel like we're both going to have Turbo at number 1.
Yeah. See, the thing with rookie performance for me is there's so many seasons where it's like over half the cast is rookies. So it's not even that impressive to me.
Sure, but I mean, in the season when Turbo came on, it was like half the cast was rookies. Like I probably wouldn't say like a fresh meat season would qualify, but I guess then you have to throw out War of the Worlds as well. Just Turbo as a rookie coming on had the most dominant performance. Other than that, I was going to say, I guess this one is from Fresh Meat as well, but Noor was really good on his season of Fresh Meat, and Brittany from The Duel 2 was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if we're counting Fresh Meat's, Laurel has to be up there. Wes from Fresh Meat 1 also has to be up there. I think Frank, honestly, from Battle of the Seasons 2012, like we were just talking about, really needs to be mentioned.
Was that his first season?
That was his first season, yeah. That was his entire team's first season, and they all won. And, like, I mean, that one actually wasn't – I mean, there was a lot of rookies on that cast, but it was not a Fresh Meat season. So he had to work his way from the bottom and work his way to, like, be the Godfather and be on top and then dominate the mission. So I think Frank – he's to me, honestly, he's closer to Turbo than he is closer to anybody who's number 3.
Well, you could throw Zach into that mix, too, because he's on the same team and was just as good.
I don't know if he was just – well, from a politicking perspective, Zach got in the way a lot. Like, Frank was actually on top of the politics. Zach more got them into trouble, it seemed.
Suppose so, but his actual performance – I mean, it didn't matter. They ended up winning the season, but it's not like people were still just – I mean, we're going to do a category called Most Intimidating, and at that point, people were, like, legit terrified of Zach because he was, like, twice the size as he is now.
Yeah, I mean, he was still obviously as tall as he was back then, but he was much, much bigger. And I actually think he's a much better competitor now, but just in terms of pure intimidation factor, he was pretty big back then.
He is someone who's also gotten way better. His Battle of the War of the Worlds 2 Confessionals were very good.
Yeah, that's true. He came off much more likable in War of the Worlds 2. I think he and Jenna have the right game plan where they're not going to appear on seasons together.
Yeah, well, when they're on the same seasons together, their entire storyline is just about the two of them. They're fighting the entire time. Like, that's not good for either of their brands.
It's not good for their brand. I can't imagine it's great for the relationship, too, to have every single Twitter user of all time commenting on it.
I suppose that's true. Any other rookies that, like, we're kind of missing, maybe from, like, the middle seasons? Like, it's not going to be bananas, I'll tell you that much.
Evan... No, definitely not trying. I guess Evan from... Oh, actually, you know what? Svetlana from The Duel is someone we should probably bring up.
That's true.
Because she was really good that season. She won 3 eliminations. I mean, it was against a pretty stacked cast. She had all the political numbers against her. So I think she's definitely getting mentioned here. Evan, also from Fresh Meat 1, we might want to bring up.
Yeah, but he ended up having to go home with a hernia problem.
Yeah, he was really dominant when he was on the Aviv, I guess, also from Fresh Meat 1. She was one who won that season. And I'm kind of surprised they never brought her back. I thought she was a decent character and obviously a very good competitor, too.
I think what I've heard about Aviv is just she didn't really get into the production side of things all that well. Like, she was just really boring.
I can see that.
They were like, you can be the best at it. It's sort of like the Ninja problem, where Ninja clearly deserves to be athletically on the show, but she brings nothing to the table outside of that.
I've never minded Ninja. I think One season I really want them to do now, I think would be a really good fit with the cast they have currently, is like just another split sex rival season and have her and Zach be partners. I think that'd actually be a pretty entertaining team.
Do you would prefer like the guy-girl teams for rivals over the guy-guy?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like I like the guy-guy, girl-girl setup for some of these seasons, but I don't like when you have to make them face each other. Like that makes no sense to me.
No, definitely don't have them face each other. Every single season they've done that, it's been a massive issue. So I would say, see, this is where I was thinking the 4-person teams could come in. Just set up 4-person teams of rivals. So then you would have like, I don't know, what would be a good example here? This is going back a little bit, but imagine like a team of like Wes, Kenny, Johanna, and Kellyanne. Like how much drama that team would be.
I mean, any time that you can get Kellyanne back on the show, I'm 100% in.
Exactly. But even like now, you could do a team of like Paulie, Kyle, Kara, and like throw in a 4th person who's slept with Kyle.
Yeah, so that could be the entire cast. So you put Kyle and Bear on a team, and you can pair them up with literally anybody.
Just have a rotating crew every two missions. They switch it up.
Yeah, it would be a team of 4, but the female side of the team would actually be like a list of 20 people, and they just rotate in and out. Sort of like Demolition in the late 1980s, where they had 3 people on their tag team, and they would just designate 2 to fight that night.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like a Wu-Tang Clan type thing, where you just have different people popping up every song. Exactly.
Yeah. What about Derek Kaczynski? Battle of the Sexes 2. I feel like he had a nice run there. His better run was the next season when he was on, was it Inferno 2? Gauntlet 2? Now I can't even remember.
Yeah, Inferno 2 is the one right after that. Gauntlet 2 is really his like main season. Brad is also really good on Sexes 2. Derek is more of a character season on Sexes 2 than a competitive one. He's good competitively, but he's an amazing character for the first few episodes.
All right, next category. Most intimidating performer of all time. So I'm going to say it has to be CT. After that, I'd probably say Laurel. Maybe Corey.
That's what I had too. I had CT 1, Laurel 2, Turbo 3.
I don't think Turbo. I mean, people just want to copy his walk, and then he freaks out. Like that's not something. Like Abram, I would say is probably more intimidating just because he's a crazy person.
Abram should be up there. I mean, if you ask Tom, Abram probably is like number 1 by 1,000 degrees.
If we did maybe we should do this, like worst reoccurring cast member of all time. That Tom guy has to be close to the top of the list because he was brutal.
He was fine. That was just a bad era for the challenge. Compare like the people we've had on and that are like the regulars now versus the regulars between Bloodlines and Invasion of the Champions.
Yeah, it's not great. Well, all the UK people are just so awesome, and all these people are just fucking duds.
Even the UK people, even like the other people that bring in, I think are way better than the people they were bringing in back then.
Well, they were kind of scumming the bottom of these real world seasons that no one was watching. Or Are You the One? And now they've basically dipped into the best of the UK reality shows and then started grabbing the most entertaining people from American other reality shows. So there's no real comparison there. Like they're taking the cream of the crop rather than randos they've been given.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me because a lot of the fans were like angry they were doing this. I'm like, do we really need like someone from Are You the One 2's cousin that's on the show? Like, I don't see the need for that.
No, and that's why, I mean, there's very few Are You the One people left. I guess we have one guy this year. Tori is left. Cam is left. And Nelson is
Hunter
left?
and Nelson Hunter and Nelson are still hanging around.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, not a good...
I mean, maybe they'll bring like Brittany back on.
I think she's really angling to get back on, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, maybe they'll give her like a 1 season. Maybe she'll be like an alternate 1 season, and then they'll bring her on when somebody drops.
What do you end up getting paid for being an alternate? Is it like just...
I don't know.
I'd be interested to know that.
I don't even... Yeah, no, I would too. There's a lot of... It's funny. A lot of people do those interviews with cast members. I'd actually be really interested. They probably wouldn't do it because I brag on them all the time. But an interview with like a part of the production team, obviously wouldn't have to like reveal their name or anything. But I think interviews with the production team or like the bodyguards or the engineering teams who make the missions would actually be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially the engineering team. I think that seems like such a fascinating job. Like, I went to engineering school to be an engineer, and what do I do now? I design challenges on the challenge. Like, and it's you would need to be pretty high end to do it because of the safety involved.
Yeah, and then also you'd imagine it's a relatively big team that's taking on these things. Some of these missions are so grandiose, and like how much time does it take to make these things? Where do they find them? Like especially like in recent seasons, like in War of the Worlds 1. Remember that crazy mission. Like, the thing was called like Search and Destroy, where they had to like run through like the desert and then the mud and then grab the ball and then run back through all those, like, I don't even know what they were, but those big blocks. Like, did they have to get those? Did they move them there? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So, I have another one to throw into best rookie that I completely forgot about. Cook.
Yeah, Rivals 2 is a really good rookie season. You've got Cook, Jordan, and Marlon all are rookies that season.
True. So most intimidating, CT is clearly number 1. Laurel clearly number 2.
I even think Laurel's close to CT, honestly. Laurel can be pretty freaking terrifying.
Yeah, I think like they're the very clear 1 and 2. And then
they're the very clear 1 and 2.
Then you can make your case for number 3. So you're going with Turbo. I might say it's Coral. People were legit terrified of Coral.
Coral's pretty terrifying, too. I just think Turbo, so much of it is just a mystery behind him, and you don't quite know what will set him off and what won't. With Turbo, he's just like, there's just so many unknowns. You don't know when you press a button what's going to happen.
Sure. I'll tell you who is not the most terrifying. Josh.
No, Josh is not the most intimidating, unfortunately, for him.
I mean, unless you're really terrified of water and where he cries so much, you think you might drown if you're around him.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay.
Man, that guy. I don't mind him. I just feel like he just didn't know what he was doing at all last season.
I like Josh. I really came around to Josh last season. I think he's a fun guy to watch on the show, but like he's out of control. Best eliminations. So when I told you best eliminations, did you take it as what was like the 1v1 or 2v2 best eliminations, or the best actual game for an elimination?
I thought about both. I have the best actual like individual elimination in terms of what event of 2 people I enjoy the most, or 2 or 4 people in some cases. But it's funny, we actually had this debate last year on your show, I think, and you were angry at me for considering anything besides that.
All right, so let's do both then. Give me your favorite like personal best eliminations.
Okay. So personal in terms of like if we're walking into the elimination ring, which game do I want to see down there?
Like, okay, so the one for me is like, I would say I think my favorite one after watching it of all time is the CT Adam versus Bananas and Tyler to go to the finals of Rivals 1.
That one's definitely in the mix. My issue with that one, this is one where I get too inside baseball. It's just that I'm so convinced Adam threw that elimination that it just loses a little bit of the luster for me. Because like you can see him diving into the ground, and there's so much off-screen stuff that's led to me thinking
the off-screen stuff doesn't matter. You're watching it on TV. Whatever the TV product that is presented to you is how you need to judge this.
I mean, look, I get it for other people. For me, it's just I think it's super entertaining. I'd probably have it number 4, but it didn't make my top 3.
All right, so what's your top 3?
So I have Wes versus Derek in the duel at number 1 with the pole wrestle. Then I actually have 2, both from 2 recent seasons. I have Ninja versus Laurel last season, and then I have Hunter and Georgia versus Smashley and Chase from War of the Worlds 1.
What was the last one?
The Hunter and Georgia versus Smashley and Chase from War of the Worlds 1.
You think that those eliminations were top 3 eliminations of all time?
With those ones, it's a lot more about the theatrics around the elimination than necessarily the elimination itself. But when it comes to elimination, I'm looking at everything surrounding it. I'm looking at basically from the moment the cast starts walking onto the elimination floor until the conclusion of the entire event. So when you bring in everything that's going on around those eliminations, I think they're top 3.
Okay, so I took this more of what's the actual like best matchup that was entertaining to watch, not like some janky, terrible elimination that had like drama around it. Like there was one on...
Those are not janky eliminations.
I can't remember if it was Rivals 1 or Rivals 2, but it was Trey and Zach against, I want to say Leroy and whoever the hell his partner was. And they had to like...
Oh, that was Rivals 2.
Yeah, it was just a pure smash elimination. That was a good one.
Well, that's the one where Zach 2 throws his helmet into the crowd afterwards and gets DQ'd.
Yeah, it was a lot like that one where Timmy got DQ'd on his last one on Inferno 3 when him versus Abram Days had to smash all the glass from the box. That was a really good one.
It's funny. With that one, are you going more for the elimination itself, or like is that something you'd want to see them do again, or is it more what actually happened in that one?
I think that both of those, that I think they're really good eliminations that I would love to see again. And I think that both of those eliminations independently were really good as well.
Yeah, no, I think from Rivals 2, I actually think the best one is Marlon and Jordan versus Leroy and Ty in like the team hall brawl.
Yeah, so it was sort of like a blocking drill in football.
Yeah, that one's just really close, and the way they shoot it's a little wonky, which is the main issue with it. But everything else about that elimination's awesome.
It's a better one. Like, I'm actually kind of out on Hall Brawl because I find it completely unfair most of the time. Like, the Tori versus Jenny one was really good because Jenny was bigger, but Tori was obviously a bit more aggressive with it. But it's not like their size discrepancy was so out of whack that it was unfair. Like, Big Easy versus Wes was unfair.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I think the team one adds an interesting dynamic where I'm okay with that. But the individual ones, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, anything that where just being big is like the trump card with the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm out on.
I think it's kind of stupid.
Like even like this is one people that we definitely need to at least bring up. The CT with Johnny versus Tyler. I've never found that one as enjoyable to watch as other people because like of course CT dummies Johnny. He's like twice his size.
Yeah, and maybe this was like a built-in narrative to that season on Cutthroat, but Bananas just kept talking about how fat Tyler was getting the entire time. Like all he was doing was eating.
Yeah,
but then it just played to his advantage because CT like couldn't. He was basically like the same weight as CT by the time they did it, and he was just like, yeah, you're not gonna pick me up.
Like the only two of those weight eliminations I think are actually that good are the Frank versus MJ from Gauntlet 3 and Cara versus Naya from Free Agents. Both those just because the smaller competitors actually able to like compete by their own ingenuity because of like they're in the stands, they can dig and make their own way. But outside of those ones, I'm not a huge fan of any of the weight-based eliminations.
I thought the problem with the like endurance ones and like especially the Cara and Naya ones, I just find the endurance ones so boring. Nothing happens in them. Like it's just two people sitting there until someone gives up.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think that one in particular is good just because there's a lot going on with that elimination. And I think that's actually really Cara's like emergence moment where she was decent on Rivals too. But from that point on, she becomes pretty much the face of the show from the female side. So I think that's a pretty important elimination. But outside of that one, none of those other weight-based eliminations, again, outside of Frank and MJ, are really that entertaining to watch.
So two other ones I'll throw out, not necessarily as the 1v1 matchup, but ones to bring back and do again. The one with Abram's brother, I want to say it was, versus Tom's brother.
Oh, where they smashed the furniture?
Yeah, smash the furniture and push it all through the thing. I thought that was a pretty cool one. That's one where Abram got himself so fired up watching, he made his nose bleed.
Exactly. That was the elimination itself is pretty crazy. It's a great episode too. But yeah, that elimination definitely bringing back something adjacent to that would be cool.
And there was one more. Oh yeah, all of the fresh meats, the exiles. Like I really like.
I'm not a huge one.
See, I really like the exiles, and I like that last season they brought back like a mini exile between Ashley and Nani to see who ended up going to the finals. Like I like an elimination that tests a little bit more than like one specific thing. Like in that one, you needed to solve a puzzle, you needed to have endurance. It was a bit longer. I don't mind those.
I definitely prefer the eliminations where there's multiple things going on, and you have to use different skills to get what you have to do. I've just never been huge on the exile, so for me, I think using those in more of a mission setting is what I'd prefer.
Potentially so. I do like the idea of people not being able to see the eliminations, and then there's an advantage to you winning them because you know what it is.
I think doing a one-off on that's fine, like on Fresh Meat 1. But after that, like, I kind of like having the crowd there.
Okay. Best daily missions. And this is a tough one. Like, trivia wins every single time, I feel like. Everyone loves a good trivia episode. But the best trivia episode was the one where they made the entire house vote on the categories, and then the people had to pick what the people voted for. I thought that one was awesome.
You're looking at the one on like Rivals 3, right? Where the female partners were in the graves and the guys had to get the questions right and dig them up.
No, I'm talking about the one where it was set up like a game show, and like both sets of partners ended up going. It was like trivia about the people in the house. It was like all the cast voted, and I remember it was like they voted on like who's the hottest girl in the house, and then everyone had like their vote of who they thought everyone voted for. I remember Camilla won, and everyone was like, like all the girls were like kind of stunned, and all the guys were like, yeah. I thought that was funny. It was a good way to
I think
create.
that was Rivals 3, but
It may have been. They didn't have to dig anyone up though.
oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different one then. The Rivals 3 one is also pretty good. There's a lot of good trivia though, so any trivia pretty much I'm in on.
Yeah, like they could figure out ways to do trivia twice a season, I think. Like you need it at least once, but maybe have some sort of offshoot of trivia, something similar. And it gives everyone basically a competitive advantage. Like there's no competitive advantage unless like you're an absolute moron, like that girl from last season who thought that there was like 600 seconds in a minute.
Oh yeah, George's friend Nicole Bass. But literally the only things people knew about her was that she was George's friend and couldn't do math.
I mean, that's not even doing math. That's just not knowing things.
Yeah, it's true.
It was
last season's trivia was actually pretty bad, honestly. All the other trivia is pretty much pretty good.
Yeah, well, I don't like it when they try to structure the
It's just too slow.
It was slow, but they also had like if you got the question wrong, you got like fired up on the booster seat, which is conceptually really cool, but just more questions the better. And like I didn't like that some people couldn't compete.
Yeah, no, I didn't like how segmented they kept it. I would have much preferred it if they just had. I mean, having a teams answer, that's probably too much. But maybe segmented teams into like pairs or groups of 4 and then have those groups answer the questions. There was ways around it that would have been way better than the way they did it.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's something about the trivia challenge where you want to see everyone compete because you want to see like who's the biggest idiot of everybody.
You want to see who knows what and who doesn't know what out of everybody in the cast, and just give like one competitor, like one question for each one or two competitors is just not a good idea.
Yeah, like I need to know because it sticks with me that Kara thinks that Muhammad Ali's real name is Mahatma Gandhi. Like there's been a lot of
you know his real name now.
There's been a lot of bad answers. That is by far the worst one.
That one has to be the worst. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones too that are terrible, but that one's really bad.
So what are the best daily missions of all time? I got some here for you. I'll throw out one.
I've got a few.
It was either Inferno 1 or Inferno 2 that they set up these rooms that you had to
that's Inferno 2.
You had to memorize everything that was in the room and then like try to recreate it back together. I really like that one.
I thought it was okay. I didn't push it too much into either category here. I would say I really like Doom Buggy from World of Worlds 1, where they were like the tires being dragged behind the buggies across the sand, and they had to like climb across them and then pull out the thing so the other competitor would go away. I think Riot Act from Cutthroat was also really good. That was the one where they have the riot shields and the helmets on, and they have to work with their teammates to push the other teammates off the little platform they were on, and Derek goes like crazy going against 3 people. Those are 2 I'd bring up.
Do you remember the one? This could have been Inferno 1. Maybe it was CT's pal, and they had to like shill wares to cruise people coming off of the boat.
Oh, that was Inferno 1.
Whoever sold the most ended up winning. That one was great.
That one was such a. Can you imagine if they did that now? How like just stunned the cast would be at what's going on.
Well, what was CT's friend's name who was on the team? What was his name?
David.
So David just, instead of selling anything, he just took a nap the entire time. There. It was great.
Yeah, that was not good for his political game.
No, but he had CT on his side, so that all worked out.
Yeah.
It's
funny contrasting what's going on in those beginning few seasons compared to what's going on now.
I actually like the missions from the other ones, especially like the team one. Like, I think that's why I like Inferno 2 so much. I liked a lot of the daily missions. There's some like real duds, but like the first one that they did is actually probably the best daily mission of all time. They were on the beach and they had like the Marines out. And
the sergeant says,
yeah, that just turned out to be it was, what was it? Landon and Abram versus the Miz and Derek, I think it was.
No, it was Landon was with the Miz. Landon and Miz were the good guys team.
Okay, yeah. So then it was Abram with Derek. Like that was actually one of the most competitive ones of all time, and it looked so fucking hard.
Yeah, that one was really hard. That's also one where I think they could bring it back now and not have it seem too out of place. I just think they've progressed to a point in the show where when the cast members come on, they're expecting a certain thing. Like, can you imagine like Turbo trying to shill like wonky knickknacks to cruise goers? I just can't see that really going well.
Yeah, trying to sell a toaster to some tourist coming off of a cruise ship.
Exactly. Some of that stuff was so weird too. Like you'd think it would just be memorabilia type stuff, but they had like kitchen appliances.
Yeah, it was awesome. So there's another one from that season too. Well, there's one of the worst ones of all time. That one where like everyone's wearing a wetsuit. That one just makes no sense. But the one where they have to drive like the little mini motorcycle was fantastic. Solely because Julie tried to play hero ball and just immediately tanked it into the water.
That one I might actually, if we're just talking about what happened in the mission, that one's pretty close to number one for me. The look on her face when she is going down the little line before she falls off is just one of the best moments of the challenge of all time.
I'm trying to think of like I can't really think of any really good ones from the past few seasons that like stick out to me. They all seem like derivatives of old ones.
Well, I think it's kind of hard to differentiate them. Like, I didn't have any problems with any of the newer ones, but it's kind of hard to separate them out since a lot of them are kind of similar. I think War of the Worlds 1 and Dirty 30 both had a lot of really good missions.
What were some from... What was the one... I think it was the first episode of Bloodlines when they had to run up that sand hill the entire time. That one was pretty cool.
Was just really funny.
Yeah, but it was also super competitive, too.
Yeah, no, it's got both, too. Just some of the... That's just where it really exposed how some of these people are just so out of their element. Because, like Candace, Leroy's partner, is like wearing the thing on her head and is like trying to crawl up the mound and just keeps falling down. Brienne, Jenna's partner, runs up the little mound and doesn't have a bucket with her, and then it's just like wondering what she should do.
Yeah, well, and it's hard to differentiate some of the regular daily missions from like the supersize one, like the one on Battle of the Seasons, like the midway point one, the one where Frank and Zach are just yelling at Sam the entire time.
Yeah.
Like that's a really good mission. Like it was so tough. It was like a mini final.
Yeah, that one was super tough. Also from War of the Worlds 1, that one where they had to grab the tires and like run back and forth.
Yeah, that one's not bad. Don't mind that one.
I feel like honestly with a lot of the missions from newer seasons, they're all between like a B+ and an A-, but they aren't maybe as memorable as some of the earlier seasons ones just because they aren't as wonky.
Yeah, well, there is something to say about like the older season wonkiness of some. Like you got so many crappy ones that got mixed in, but you would find
very hit or miss.
Yeah, they're really hit or miss, but like some of the carnival game type atmosphere to some of them was just a lot more fun.
I think in general, I'd prefer the newer missions format than the older missions format.
I think you get fewer duds now, like just not ones that make completely no sense. But I think I just think that there's a missing element of fun from this show that continues to get beat out. And the return, at least bringing in a lot of the UK people, have helped quell that a little bit because individually they just seem like way more fun than all the Americans. So you get a few laughs out of it again. But like some of the daily missions should be fun. Like, and anyone should be able to win them at some points.
I also think there's definitely a middle ground they can find between having them be wonky and having them be like athletically competitive. Like look at like I forget what they called it, but like the one where they had to like roll up as a sausage and free agents and like roll through all the stuff. They can do stuff similar to that where it's funny and fun to watch, but it's also like athletically competitive.
Yeah, so there's two that stick out like that. The one on Rivals for 3 where they ended up like naked at the end of it. So that one was pretty funny. That
one is really good actually. Yeah.
That Bananas and Sarah ended up winning. And there was another one, I want to say it was on Free Agents. I just remember them rolling over tomatoes in the desert.
I think that was the one I was talking about. Yeah, where they're the sausages and they have to like roll down until they get to the bread at the end.
Oh yeah, if there was one on Champs versus Stars that was very similar to that too.
Oh that one too. It was Champs versus Pros, I think, because I just remember Sean Marion getting lost.
Yeah, and CM Punk was in that one too. But though it's funny, like I didn't love the Champs versus Pros or Champs versus Stars season, but I really liked the eliminations and challenges on those ones. They reminded me of the old challenge.
I like the first and the third season. The Champs versus Pros and the second Champs versus Stars both are really good. The first Champs versus Stars is just atrocious.
Yeah, what's the one that had T.O. on it?
That's the first Champs versus Stars. That one, there's a lot of like crazy stuff that happened because that's the T.O. season. That's the who was the dude West was friends with that Zach elbowed in the head? That was like a Little Romeo or something. He like hosts Are You the One now sometimes.
Yeah, well, there was one where Little Romeo like got into a fight with someone, and then like the next scene, he has his bodyguards with him.
Yeah, he has his bodyguard with him. Yeah, that was the one I'm talking about. And then that's also the one where Camilla hits the producer with the golf cart.
Yes, and then like we never see her on the challenge again.
That honestly is one of the weirder moments in challenge history.
I can't believe they showed so much of it, of her getting drunk, driving around in a golf cart, and almost killing someone.
Well, they didn't show she had already competed in the first mission, so I guess they couldn't pull a piggy and just write her off entirely. But yeah, it was strange how much they showed of it. I guess it was nice they actually wanted to keep us informed, because usually they just keep us in the dark on these things.
Yeah.
Like, remember when that Chris guy was on Vendettas and he just disappeared after the first mission?
Was he even in the first? Like, I think they cut him out.
He was in the Purge.
He was in the Purge? I don't even remember him being in the Purge. I just thought they completely cut him out of the season.
There are a few shots of him you can see him. Like when they have the opening cat shot, you can see him, and then he's actually helping Johnny reach the end. So you can see him in those two. But then, yeah, he's legitimately just gone. Like, you don't even know what happens to him.
Okay. Funniest fights of all time.
Here we go.
This is a very clear winner. Number one, there's no dispute. That is Jenna versus her cousin over her dad being in jail and owning a bakery.
Yeah, I think there's another one that's really close. The Knight and Jemmy ketchup fight on Rivals 2, I think, is also really close.
That just seemed really mean.
I don't know. It's pretty funny if you go back and watch it. And Cook is telling, like, Knight, you couldn't use mustard or relish or something. He's like, no, I didn't have relish.
Yeah, so,
that one's pretty funny.
I guess so. So after that, what is it, like Camilla freaking out on Cutthroat and throwing the
Yeah,
chair?
I have that one. Oh, that's on I Battle the Exes when she's screaming at Johnny.
Okay, so it's that one. So yeah, that one's pretty funny. It's just with Bananas both looking terrified and cracking up the entire time.
And her smashing the chair and then just walking into the pool like she's Jesus walking across water.
Do we count CT versus Adam King on Duel 2 as a funny
No,
fight, or is that just too violent? Because it is
I don't think you can.
I mean, CT walking around, I'll beat anyone. I'll peppy a steak. Like, that entire thing is top notch.
Also, I mean, everybody's in Halloween costumes. All that thing is going on too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, and that's the whole thing where it's the first time that he sees DM since they broke up, and then he sleeps with Siobhan on the roof of the place, and then gets blackout drunk and gets into a fight, and then just goes insane.
Yeah, no, that one's wild too. And then also one thing that people don't see on that one too is, so CT somehow like rips off whatever costume, or at least part of whatever costume Adam's wearing by the end of it, and then is using it to like wipe blood off his face as he's getting pulled out by security.
Yeah, that's when he's telling everyone that he's going to pepper the steak. I'll fight anybody. And I believe him. He would fight anybody.
At that point, yeah, CT would fight anybody, including like reunion hosts. Oh, does that count on funniest fights from the reunion?
What, the Rivals 2, Johnny Mosley, CT, and Knight, and Frank?
Yeah, any of those ones from Rivals too.
Is that episode still available? Like, can you watch that online, or they haven't scrubbed that from the internet?
Well, I have a means where I can watch it, and I was watching it just a few days ago. It's still outstanding. I was using like one of those GIF creators because there's like 7 GIFable moments from that reunion.
So if people don't remember, and the reason that all of the challenge reunions are so highly produced now, like they probably shoot those reunions for like 8 hours and cut them into
forever. That cast looks so done by the end of the reunions.
Yeah, and they like edit it into like, and the reunions are so terrible. Like, why they get like, why was Nick Young one of the hosts last time? And
I got so mad about that. He was so bad.
Why was he like?
He had like 2 lines.
Did they give him like? Did he just like show up with an ounce of weed and smoke it all like the moment before he went on?
I think that's probably just him. If I mean the dude like I honestly wanted an NBA team to sign him so I could go to a game and like boo him every time he touched the ball.
I was
so mad about that.
You're a Les Wizards fan, so I assume that you could have just done that in person when he was on the team.
Well, that was before he hosted the reunion, so I didn't realize how much he defamed with a product I enjoy so much. I was so mad about that. The fact that they like are bringing on just these jabronis who don't know anything is just very upsetting to me.
It just seemed like The Miz made a lot of logical sense to me. Like, you know half the people on the show. You used to be on the show. You're a big star. You're also good on TV. That makes sense to me.
Even like Dolph Ziggler was fine on Final Reckoning, but I actually think Justina Valentina, I think she's okay too. She definitely had to carry the squad last time because Nick Young had like 2 lines they showed the entire time.
Yeah, and she fits into the challenge world pretty well. Like, just despite being on, was it Champs versus Stars or whatever it was, but like, she's on the level of the challenge people. It seems like Nick Young is an NBA champion who probably has like $40 million in the bank.
NBA champion. Yeah.
He
He
is-
played like 8 minutes a game for that team.
Whatever, he has a fucking ring. Do you?
Well, no, but I could get a ring on that Warriors team doing what he did, just bricking wide open 3-pointers.
Well, do you got 40 million in
Playing
the bank?
terrible defense.
Do you have 40 million in the bank?
I mean, I could do just as good of a job hosting that reunion as he did.
Listen, I would do a better job as a TV professional. I would be fine at it. But it just like Justina Valentina is like, I don't know what her net worth is, but I can't imagine it's like more than Johnny Bananas.
I don't know. I can't imagine it is either. I actually like her. She comes off very objective in her hosting duties too. She doesn't come off biased at all, even though she's interacted with a lot of the cast.
Yeah, well,
she asks decent questions.
What I'm saying is that I think she does fit in really well because she's on the same level as the cast. Like even it was the one thing about the Miz is like the Miz is clearly above all these people, so it's a bit weird.
That's true. Which one? I think it was War of the Worlds 1 where they brought in him and Lolo Jones for some reason. I don't quite know what Lolo did on Champs vs. Pros to indicate she should be hosting anything. But I actually thought she did an okay job too. Certainly better than Nick Young.
Lolo Jones should just be on the challenge.
She should. That Champs vs. Pros cast. Those they could bring back basically any of those girls they had on the pros team, and they would be great on the challenge.
Yeah, like I don't know what Lolo Jones does now, but like she would smash on the challenge. I mean, she smashed on her season.
Oh, yeah.
And so did Louise Hazel too, who was awesome.
Yeah, and Lindsay Jacobellis was also really good that season.
Yeah. And she seems like, and the three of them seem like they continue to be friends with all the challenge people.
Yeah. Like I know Louise still talks like Wes and Tori a lot, so I think she could come back on. For let's see, for reunions. So who do you think is the worst overall reunion host, Mosley or Nick Young?
It's Mosley because, okay, so the reason that they did the challenge reunion show live for Rivals 2, everyone got boozed up before they came on. And then Knight just started yelling homophobic slurs at Frank. And then CT was sitting there like, and punches him in the face. And Johnny Mosley just doesn't know what to do. And like,
it's just like, oh my God.
So there's a fight. There's a fight going on during the reunion. You can give me sort of like the highlights of the best that happened, but like he doesn't adapt to anything that's going on around him. He just looks at the prompter and reads "Coming up next."
He asked if anybody still has questions for Knight as Knight is being dragged off stage by security. He's like, he gives a thumbs up to Frank, like, all right, buddy, good job, for getting punched in the face and not reacting that much.
Anything else for funniest fights? Like, I can't remember. Oh, what about, I don't know if it's funny because it was kind of terrifying, but Veronica versus Julie when Julie tried to kill Veronica?
Oh, that wasn't even during the mission. Yeah, that one you could throw in there.
I can't remember. And no, there was one from that season, Inferno 1, when I forget who it was, but Veronica
I think it was Veronica and Katie is when you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
when one of them isn't wearing a towel.
Yeah, okay, so Veronica versus Katie at the end, like everyone's just ragging on Katie the entire time. And then Katie makes fun of Veronica for having bad skin, and like she loses her mind, and then she's like standing there naked, yelling at Katie. That one's pretty off the charts.
Does The Miz fighting himself on the first battle of the seasons count?
Yes, I think it does.
Yeah, Mike versus The Miz is a pretty awesome one where he's just boozed out of his mind and is just completely losing it.
There's also one where I think again it's Rivals 1.
What about like Bear? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say where they're all wrestling on the roof, and like everyone's like kind of having a good time, and then CT starts taking it way too serious with Kenny.
Oh yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about. That one's okay. From Rivals 1-2, what about the "Don't Call Me a Guy" tie fight with Adam that gets him kicked out?
I don't remember that. Oh,
you definitely remember that in the first episode.
The Adam Royer one.
Adam Royer, yes, not Adam King.
Yeah, I was thinking Adam King in my mind for a second. Oh yeah, anything that involves Adam Royer is like off the charts good.
I mean, he's only on the show for like 6 minutes.
I know, and he's great. They win the first daily mission.
Best mission winning percentage of all time.
Yeah, and then we get that good guy Mike who comes onto the show.
Yeah, and then it's funny because him and Nani were actually supposed to be exes partners, but he could not pass a psych test.
Yeah, I imagine that he couldn't. I imagine like there was a while where a lot of the cast members said that they wouldn't come on if CT was going to be on that season. I imagine it's even worse for Adam Royer.
Yeah, no, it ruins time specifically for CT. People were not happy with having him on. What about just like almost anything Bear was involved in War of the Worlds 1.
Bear is just excellent, but I don't feel like his fights aren't real fights.
I mean, sure, but a lot of these things are somewhat choreographed.
Somewhat, but his seem like super choreographed. Like he's not necessarily the reactions that like he's just doing it to get reactions by being an idiot.
Like him diving into the table when they're playing poker.
Exactly. Like I would say from that season, like Hunter versus Turbo was far more like, ooh.
That one was, I don't think that was funny though. That one was more crazy. And that also completely telegraphs who the winner's going to be. Because Turbo like incites the fight, and then everybody, like every single confessional they show after that is, oh, Hunter shouldn't be angering Turbo. Turbo's gonna kill you.
Yeah. Best real world cast for the challenge. I think it comes down to 3, and maybe I'm missing some here. Vegas 1.
Okay, I interpreted this one differently.
Vegas 1, Vegas 2, and Key West, I think, are the 3 best like feeder seasons coming out of the challenge.
I think Key West has to be number 1 in terms of real world. I thought you meant just like origin seasons overall.
No, not the best like physical season of the real world, but the best like the best like they all came from this season. So Key West, you have Bananas, Tyler, and Paula. That's pretty good, and you have Svetlana
and
as well.
Svetlana too.
But from Vegas 2, you have Nani, Leroy, the aforementioned Adam Royer, Cook, who was awesome, Dustin, who was pretty good for a while, Heather was all right. Like there was no like elite person, but like pretty good across the board.
Yeah, they're really good too. I thought you meant just any origin season, so I was thinking like Road Rules, Campus Crawl as well.
Well, who was on? Was that the one with like Derek, Abram? I forget.
No, that's Extreme. Campus Crawl has like Darrell, Rachel, Shane.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are like the headliners from that one. I mean, there's a lot of good origin casts. I mean, obviously, either of the first Fresh Meat cast is, if we're including that, it's actually probably number 1.
It is, but that's a challenge season. That's why I kept
that doesn't seem very fair.
That's why I kept it to real world specific.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Let's see. I think the Real World Sydney or Real World Portland is another really good cast because you've got Jordan, Marlon, Naya, Avery, Johnny Riley.
Johnny Riley, yeah. Anastasia. But it also has Jessica, who's like the worst.
She's not on that much.
She was on like 4 seasons, wasn't she?
So let's see, what's she? She's on, actually, I guess she is on 4 seasons because she's the one who paired with Anastasia on Rivals too, right?
Yeah.
Because then she's got that one. She's on Free Agents, Access 2. She's on Rivals 3 for like 2 episodes with Johnny Riley.
So Vegas 1, there's only 7 people on that season, and the people that they produced from it are all pretty good. Like Alton is an all-timer. Trishelle is one of the most memorable people. And you had mentioned him earlier, like original Frank, pretty good.
Oh, yeah, he was really good. Also, Arissa Hill, maybe one of the worst competitors of all time.
I don't remember what season she was on.
She was on Battle of the Sexes 2, and she was the girl the guys just kept around because she was so bad.
I guess San Diego, with just because you have Frank and Zach, is pretty good.
I mean, and actually, Kelsey's decent TV just because she's insanely attractive, so she can come back on anytime she wants.
Yeah, but now she's dating Carrie Ann Johnson, so we'll see how that works out.
I know. She was dating Dario before, too.
Yeah, true. But what about the 2, like, newer, not the new Real Worlds, but, like, X's and Skeletons? I feel like we got some decent people from X's. We got Corey, Jenna, Ashley Mitchell. I can't remember who else was on that season. Tony was on Skeletons.
I mean, that's also your buddy Tom is also on that season.
Oh, yeah, him and his girlfriend, who, like, they were a team at one point, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, they were on X's, too. Skeletons, that's like Tony, Nicole Zanata, Sylvia. That's okay.
All right. We've gone.
Tony's doing a lot of work there.
We went over, we did an entire show, and I'll throw this into the description as well, as best overall seasons of all time. What did we end up with? I think I had Rivals as number 1 and Duel as number 2.
Yeah, I had Duel as number 1, and the people also had Duel as number 1.
Yeah, and I think I had Rivals, Free Agents, and the Duel as my top 3, I believe.
I thought you had Inferno 2 at number 3.
Oh, yeah, that would make more sense, especially because I've been going on about how much I love Inferno 2 on this show, that would make a lot of sense. For me, at least.
I think Free Agents is a little...
That's another good daily elimination, too. One of the first ones that they do for the Life Shield, where they have to put the ladders up on whatever it was and, like, climb up the ladders, take it off, climb up the ladders, build the bridge across the ladders, then go down. I thought that one was really good.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that one's good. That's one they've actually kind of brought back sometimes. Kind of similar to the Laurel Ninja Elimination, actually. You don't have to go across anything, but just turn to sticking the pegs in.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, it's a moderately similar thing.
That is basically like saying that anything in any challenge where you have to climb something is exactly the same.
No, but you have to stick the pegs in the holes, is what I was saying. And there's a clip where I believe Dan can't find the hole akin to Ninja and Laurel in that elimination.
There's also one in that season where they just drop money from the sky, and whoever collects the most money wins.
Oh yeah. Some of those early season missions are so weird.
And there was the racing one where they basically just gave you a car to drag race, and whoever could drag race the fastest won. That one was good.
Yeah, and you had to stop before you knocked over those champagne glasses.
Yeah, I think CT killed in that one, and he did it with a cig in his mouth.
Oh yeah, that's a really good CT clip if you can find that one.
Best format. I think we kind of nailed this one down, but do we agree like it's either cutthroat or free agents?
See, I really hate the free agents format. It's just too random.
Why?
Well, I feel like when people are getting picked to go into elimination, I want them to either be rewarded for competitive ability or political ability, not by ability to pick the right kill card. For me, that just it eliminates so much of the game, and then there's no filtering going on either. If you look at who makes the free agents final, so many of those people were just pulling the right kill card.
So then let's say, well, Bananas won 3 eliminations on that season, right?
No, he and Laurel did work that season. I'm not talking about them, but like Johnny Riley doesn't even win that many missions. He just pulls the right kill card all the time.
Okay, so cutthroat, then let's say the duel or the duel 2. I do like any elimination where you're safe if you win and then everyone else is on the board. I hate these.
I think World of the Worlds 1 had an outstanding pair format.
I hate tribunals. I hate all this shit. Whoever wins, you're safe. Whoever loses, you're in. And I like the fact that whoever loses, you can pick whoever the hell you want to face.
I like the tribunal if you have to earn your way into it. I think in World of the Worlds 1, it was implemented well. I think in World of the Worlds 2, where it's just voting, it just gets too redundant. And like how they did the Troika and Vendettas was an abomination.
Yeah, that was really bad. Yeah, it should be your safety for the eliminations should be based off of how well you do in the missions. Like there should be no other way around that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like the free agents format. It's just having it just be random is just not what I want in a show.
Okay, so then how about the duel is the way to do it then?
The duel is a decent format for an individual season. I kind of just don't like individual seasons that much. So I just think I don't like having 2 different games going on at once. I want there to be one game everybody's involved in. And with the individual seasons, you just have to have a male game and a female game.
I like that though, because at least with free agents, there was crossover with that because the women voted for the guys and the guys voted for the girls. That was a good way to mix
I don't like that at all though.
But it was a good way to mix it together. If you have problems with them separating, this is a way to make them all one thing.
I think the duel does a better job of that because you have like the picking system, you have to align and it can't just be like everybody piles on one person. But like if you go like the Rivals 2, and I love Rivals 2, but the guys could just keep voting for the same girl team over and over again, just hoping they win. And there was no like blowback.
Yeah, I mean, you have to game the rules any way that you can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want the rules to be able to be gamed that easily, though. Like on these ones, it's just one team or one person piling on somebody else and not really having an incentive to ever change.
Okay, I wrote down 2 more categories that I didn't prep you for, so I want you off the top of your head here. Craziest person.
Okay. Oh wow. I mean, Abram. I think it's Abram.
Is it Abram or CT?
I mean, Abram gave himself face tattoos.
Yeah, he also smeared shit on the side of a prison cell one time.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
He seems like a pretty normal dude now.
I mean, sure, but like anybody can put on that front.
Or maybe he was just playing it up for the show. Who knows?
Well, like people think like Tim is normal. Like I don't think Abram was playing it up for the show. We just said he got a DUI and then like smearing stuff all over his jail cell. It's not for the show.
I don't know if he ended up. Did he get a DUI? Is that why he was in the cell?
I think I'm pretty sure that's why he was in the cell. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was something more nefarious.
I mean, or something less nefarious.
I don't know, but
I wouldn't be just out here throwing around accusations at the guy.
I don't know. I thought it was a DUI, but I could definitely be wrong. Of all people, I do not want to incite Abram. If you listen to his Challenge Mania interview that he did with Derek and Scott, it's pretty wild.
Is there any other contenders besides CT and Abram? Turbo?
There's definitely got to be other. Turbo is just so. I don't want to call him crazy though. I just think he's just different.
What about Katie Doyle? She had some moments.
She's pretty crazy. Yeah, I think Katie could definitely throw in there. She definitely had her scenes. I mean, Camilla, honestly, Camilla probably has to be up there.
Yeah, Camilla's definitely up there.
Smashley.
She seems like she's not on the sauce anymore. Then when she's not Boo, she seems like
she was really quiet last season.
It seems like, because I mean her we've seen it on the challenge, her be like somewhat out of control, but like her 4 episodes on The Real World were some of the craziest things of all time.
I mean, if you go back and rewatch her on Rivals 3, she's pretty off the rails.
On Rivals 3, who was her partner on Rivals 3?
She was partnered with Corey, but she was she was dating Jamie at first, Kara's cousin, who was paired with Kellyanne. And then remember, like she thinks she sees Jamie making out with Nicole, Nani's cousin, and then she's like freaking out in the bathroom and is screaming at Nicole when she tries to walk in.
Yes, okay, I do remember that. But all of her like overall craziness seems to be completely booze related. That when she's sober, she seems fine.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of the cast, though.
I don't know. Like Abram just seems like a crazy person. So did
yeah,
CT.
That's why,
for a
that's
long
why he's
time.
number 1.
Yeah, and even Camilla seems like she's just kind of off the rails at all times.
I feel like Camilla's usually when she was boozed where she really got crazy, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's why they.
I think she just boozed a lot.
What about Tony's brother?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Shane. I mean, his fight on Dirty 30 with Simone is one of the wilder things that never really gets talked about.
And what about his fight with Tony on their
season? With Tony
together?
On the first episode of Bloodlines, yeah. Dude, the first 2 episodes of Bloodlines are actually like really, really good.
And then the rest of the season is absolutely god awful.
Yeah, the rest of the season is really not good. But I mean, you've got the Tony versus his brother fight, and then you've got the mission where they run up to like the mound. And the second episode, you've got Jenna fighting her cousin, and then the mission where they have to like eat the bugs and stuff.
Last one. Best cast of all time.
Ooh.
I think it's Rivals 1.
I know the back end of Rivals 1 doesn't hold up.
Or The Duel.
I think the duel has a more fleshed out cast, I think, than Rivals 1.
Well, the duel really lucked out because the shitty back end of their cast over time became the best people on the show. Like you had Bananas, Tyler, and Paula all go out in the first 3 episodes after Tina eliminated herself for punching Beth. But like all those are real people.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, 100%. Like if you look at like the back end of the Rivals 1 cast, you've got like Caitlyn or Ty or Davis. They aren't bad.
I like Ty. Ty was always a welcome addition to the show.
Yeah, I can do without Ty.
He was good for creating drama that made no sense.
Like I think the Rivals 2 cast is pretty much just as good as the Rivals 1 cast.
What about the first X's cast?
No, I don't like the first. Well, the first X's cast, when you look at the names, it's good, but I don't like them on that season. Like, I don't think that
we're not talking about that. We're talking about the people that are on the season. Best cast, who's the best cast? Because the best cast wouldn't just have the best people on it if we did it that way. We'd have to go back and it would almost go by what was the best season. Well, that was the best cast because it was the best season.
I think there's other things going on with that season, but I can see where you're coming from. I'm not as huge on the Battle of the X's cast. I think some of the female side specifically doesn't hold up that well. Let's
see. Yeah, Naomi and Leroy. Naomi and Leroy were on that cast? Dustin and Heather, Mandy and Wes, Sarah and Vinny, Priscilla and Nate from Real World San Diego. They might be the worst team in the history of the challenge.
Oh, yeah. Nate underrated one of the worst male competitors of all time. His performance in that mission is just an abomination.
Well, it's funny that those were the 2 people from San Diego that they put up. I don't even remember them I don't even remember them dating on Real World.
How do you not bring on Zach and Ashley as their exes pair?
Yeah, or Frank and just throw them together with anyone. Throw them with Nate.
Well, Frank, there was a girl on that cast that Frank had a thing with, didn't he?
Yeah, there was one girl from that cast that you never see. She was, maybe I'm thinking of the Portland cast, but I think her name was like Alexandria something.
Yeah, something like that.
She played guitar.
Yeah. Well, like we said, that was easily the worst pair they could have brought on from that cast.
Let's see here. Real World San Diego. San Diego.
I think it was Alexandra. Is that who we're talking about?
That's what I thought her name was.
Yeah, I think her and Frank had something. I know Frank had something with one of the girls on that cast.
Let's see.
I even think, honestly, like these past 2 seasons have had really good casts.
Yeah, they're okay.
I think they're pretty well rounded, honestly.
I mean, if you're going to talk about like the back end and how they're shitty, like there's been some pretty shitty people on the last 2 seasons.
I don't think the back end of these past 2 casts have been that bad.
You had Shailene.
The War of the Worlds 1 cast more than the War of the Worlds 2 cast.
You had
Shailene, yeah.
your girl Shailene's pretty good.
Shailene, at least she doesn't like soak up camera time from other people.
What do you think the worst Real World cast to ever come in? It has to be, I want to guess, St. Thomas.
St. Thomas is pretty bad. I mean, at least Marie's had her moments.
Marie sucks though. Like Marie's entire thing is that how bad she is at everything.
Are we talking about competitively, or are we talking about as characters?
I mean, both. Like, Marie actually is very good at confessionals. That's kind of it. But you had Brandon Swift, who was horrible. LaToya, who was horrible. Laura and Trey, who were both horrible. That Rob guy, who was like, okay, I guess. And then Marie. Like, if Marie is the standout from your season, it's a real rough go.
What about, like, the Real World Hollywood cast?
Didn't that one have Brittany on
That
it?
one, yeah, it has Brittany. But, like, there's nobody else. Like Kimberly, like Nick Brown is also from that cast.
Kimberly was the one who dated Dunbar, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was the one who had the thing with Dunbar.
Let's see, Real World DC. It feels like we only ever got Emily and Ty from that entire season.
Yeah, that was only it for that season. There wasn't anybody else.
Did you watch those Real Worlds, like the last 10 Real Worlds, or were you just like, I'm into the challenge?
I mean, I've always been way more into the challenge than anything else on MTV. I've gone back and done some scouting, or I've just been curious where people have come from, more so than actually going back and rewatching the whole season.
So of all the ones that you've watched, like, do you remember which ones you enjoyed the best? Because I remember watching Real World Vegas in real time, and it was amazing.
The second one or the first one?
The second one.
Second one? Yeah, I watched a lot of that season. That season was really good.
I think
that
came on in 2009, I want to say. It was
it was a little bit later, because that was right before Battle of the Seasons.
It was right before that?
Yeah, that was right before that. So I think it was right before, actually.
It was after
maybe
Brooklyn.
I'm getting that wrong. Yeah, I think it was a decent bit after. I'm looking at it now, actually. It was 2011 was that season.
The Real World Sydney cast is kind of weird. Kahutta, Dunbar, Isaac, Kellyanne, and
That's a wonky one.
And Siobhan.
That's a really weird one. They were supposed to be a team on Battle of the Seasons. I think it was going to be like Isaac, Dunbar, Kellyanne, and I don't know, I think it was like Aya was the fourth player. But then some chicanery supposedly happened with Isaac, and they were not allowed on.
I just remember they couldn't get, it was something to do with passports, and they couldn't leave the country or something.
Yeah. That's why the fresh meat cast just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Rob, pimp your show.
Yeah, if you go to whatever your favorite podcast player is and search The Challenge Chronicles. Currently, we're recapping the duel, and we'll have a few more episodes out coming soon.
All right, you can find our best of seasons where we really do a deep dive in that, along with the sign up to the Fantasy Challenge Total Madness Free Fantasy League in the description of this video and podcast. Remember to give it a like on the way out and get into those draws for 120 DraftKings dollars. That'll do it. Spread around the show. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!